think that as an industry, we do enough to call out quite a strong term? So I'll say highlight or raise awareness of inferior or non-conforming product.
I think we try. I think we do try. I think every wholesaler will try to do the right thing, but ultimately, if it's winning a job or not losing a job, you know, the contracts will make the decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wholesaler will make the decision on what they supply. I accept that, but I think it's legislation. I think it has to come right from the top down, though, that the everything is tighter.
Yeah.
We're too loose in what we allow to come into the country from, you know, imports. So there has to be tighter, you know, legislation, I think, to give us better control through the whole industry. So no matter what we try to do, there's you know, a requirement, I think, from higher powers to force that through. But do we do enough? We try, but we're not there yet. We're a long way off, because we know there are, you know, I get phone calls all the time from somebody offering me a container of steel conduit.
Wow.
You know, and lighting is a nightmare, you know, all the time. I don't respond, but all the time, and I'm allowed to do that. I could bring a container of stuff in, and as long as I've got the certification and everything, and introduce it into the market, I do that. But I'm sure many of the people in this industry have had the same experience, but we don't do that, and it's not, you know, it has lots of problems there, but that happens all the time.
Wow. Okay. I mean, this is, and I know that, I know Tony's off in the States now, enjoying the good life.
Good for him.
Well, there was, absolutely. But there was something that he said in his first conversation with us, which really resonated with me, which was, in his view, we didn't hold ourselves to a high enough standard as an industry. Yeah. It was you know, I'll be electrical wholesaler and then move on, or I'll go into manufacturing and move on, and we don't give that. We don't give the weight or the credence to the, you know, the products that we're installing. Some of them, you know, with the load bearing stuff, it's so critical. And I'm wondering if there's an element here of, you know, you've got that ability to bring in a container of tube, like you just said, for probably a fantastic price. Whether the product lives up to that, you know, question mark. But introducing more regulation, which people tend to get a bit scared of, which I understand, but should we be doing that to elevate ourselves? We're such an integral part of the UK economy.
Yeah, I think maybe we do underestimate ourselves in the supply chain.
I'd say so.
We are an important, and we have access to many products, and it's our duty of care to make sure we're supplying the right products into the market. So yeah, we probably don't hold ourselves up. You know, people have said, "What do you do?" I say, "I work for electrical wholesaler." Yeah, and nobody really knows what they do. You're a doctor, you're a nurse. Yeah, people know what you do, but I'm an electrical wholesaler. Some people know what that is, but we don't probably appreciate how important we are and the importance of what we do. You know, like you say, putting those products into the market. You know, we have a responsibility. So I think you're spot on.
Well, we're literally the backbone of the country. Yeah, if you think about it, you know.
Yeah, look, you know, wherever you're looking at building products or electrical products or plumbing products, you know, we all have a duty of care to make sure that the products we supply into the market are fit for purpose. I mean, this, you know, the Grenfell thing and many other instances over the years has been there where it's just scraped in on the standards possibly. I don't know where that sits, but you know, it's just there. Yeah. The standards are too wide. You know, they should be
massively.
That's a standard. You've all got to comply to that. Not. I mean, I worked in manufacturing for a few years, you know, on the plastics, selling dado and conduit, and the specification for 20mm PVC conduit, you know, you had a huge parameter. Yeah. You know, I worked for Univolt, and we were right at the you know, they were at the top, as many like Marshalls and everybody else, and MK, you're all up there. So it's quality, but you can import some real rubbish, and it's yellow. And it's awful. So, you know, even when I was in that short time in the manufacturing world, there's such an array of it ticks the box, but it's not good enough for what you'd want to fit into your house or into your building. So yeah.
I mean, I know when we were talking beforehand, and I used the word ambiguity, and that's what it feels like. Those those parameters for what's acceptable are so far apart.
Yep.
And even though we've got British standards and they're pretty clear, I mean, we're always having to educate, even on the markings. Because if you're missing, like Tube, for example, there's 4 digits as part of the Plus A1 2019 addition to the standard, and you've got to have 4 digits on every single length of tube. And if you don't have even one of those 4 digits, it does not comply. And I'm hoping that's bang on correct, because my technical manager will kick the crap out of me afterwards. But it doesn't comply. Yeah. And even if you've got 2 products that are exactly the same in composition, in strength, in tensility, if it's missing that one, well, then they're not. That one complies and that one doesn't. Yeah. And I think that concerns me, because we're always trying to operate at that. Like I said to you outside, when products come in and they're not to our standards, at the moment, and not to slander the industry, but they might be to the industry standards at the moment, but they're not to ours, so they go into quarantine. And we don't want yourselves, or certainly the end user, to be the final quality check. And I think it's so difficult, because it needs we almost need like a collective mentality shift, which is quite difficult to encourage.
Yeah, and I think that's the going back to what we said earlier, is the education across the industry, that those 4 digits on a piece of steel conduit is as important as the size, and it's a class 4.
Absolutely.
And that if that's not on there, and I touched on it earlier, but I don't know enough to comment with this SCEB, which is skills, knowledge, experience and behaviour, that the EDA did a bit of a forum on. That may change a few things, where the contractors, I believe, are required to make sure that what they're fitting and that the behaviour and everything on site is up to a certain standard. And that's what I said earlier, touch base with the guys at the ECA. Yeah. They'll tell you more, but I think that will help educate and have accountability a little bit more. So maybe people will take more notice of those things when they're installing 25mm galv conduit, that go, actually, this hasn't got that 4 digit on. Yeah. And raise somebody's awareness, because that's where the difference can be made from we supplying your products and then they're supplying somebody else's. That's the difference. Yeah. And the contractor will see that. We can't see that. The wholesaler could say it is, but until it's delivered to site, you don't really know. Yeah. So I think what the ECA are doing, and some of the new legislation that will come through will help us. It won't be immediate. It will take time. It will certainly help with the bigger premises we were saying earlier, so the more commercial and industrial premises. On the domestic side, I don't think it'll have such an impact. Yeah. Because there's less control over the domestic environment. But from the little I understood of that side of what they were saying, that will help. Yeah. But again, it's education from the ECA, the NIC, and from the manufacturers and wholesalers. So it's everybody, and the contractor. A lot of contractors know what they're doing in respect to making sure that the quality of the product's there. And I don't want for anybody to think that they don't, but if they're not educated, how are they supposed to know? Yeah. So if they're going, look, I've been told this is fit for purpose, how are they? They're not an expert in that. That's part of our duty of care, and the manufacturers to make sure we're supplying that. The contractor trusts us to supply a product that is at the right British standards and it's fit for purpose. So they have to trust us. There's a trust element there, and that's the bit that we can let them down with. Is if we don't.
Ian, sorry about that. We're back. Right. Apparently, it was fire alarm testing day, and
I thought I'd said something I shouldn't have said. Then the alarms are going off. So.
Yeah, it's God's censoring. Yeah. So we were talking about trust, which was I found really important, because just to reference Tony again, that was what he saw as missing from the industry. Yep. So, of course, you were quite right in what you said about if you supply an inferior product to a contractor, then why would they come back to AT&T? Yep. And I think that's the same. That's the same for us as well. If we supply you with inferior, non-compliant, or issue riddled products, why would you want to work with Metpro ever again?
Yeah, I think tongue in cheek. We all want an easy life.
Yeah,
And if you're supplying products that are creating you problems all the time, you have a harder life. So why would you want to do that? Not just for me as a wholesaler, but for the contractor. The headache that they would have is just not worth the hassle. So that trust element right through, and you know, I'm not on the sales side. So Adrian, John, Jamie, and all the sales team, their relationships are built on trust.
Yeah,
with most of their customers, and they trust us to supply the products, and the guys trust me to make sure I'm delivering that to them, so they can sell that to the customers. So, you know, this whole tripartite, if you like, so manufacturer, wholesaler, and contractor is key, and the contractor supplier relationship is key as well. That's a trust thing. So we do a lot of events where suppliers attend and meet our customers, so that if they have a problem, you know, they can ask a few questions. You know, Larry's coming in something on Tuesday, and then he'll do our golf day, and he gets to meet our customers as well, because that whole supply chain is important. So trust is so important, that I know that if I'm buying a product from yourselves, unless it's an exception, it's a bad batch and it's just slipped through, it's not going to hit my desk. You know, there's something. It's always something. I'm not blind to that, but you're minimising the risk to the end client, to the contractor, and also that hassle. I always say to a supplier, if a problem's hit my desk, you're a good supplier.
Yeah.
The suppliers that constantly hit my desk because of quality issues, you know, I'll reevaluate that, and then like, okay, guys, what we're doing here? Yeah, we're going through that. This is creating us a problem with our contractors, and the feedback from the contractor to our internal team, then to me, they'll say that we've got a problem with PVC tape, right, for example, or a cable tie, whatever that be. I'll talk to the manufacturer and find out. It could be they've had a bad batch. It could be they've changed something and not supplied information back to us, and then I'll evaluate what we do on that product, not necessarily the supply, but the product, because it's important we're giving the end contractor the right quality product, because even down a roll of tape, that can create a bit of an hassle for a contractor when he's trying to open it. It's a cold morning. Yeah. Simple things that, you know, I don't necessarily see, but the feedback comes to me. So we want to be supplying the end user with products that are good, and they're trusting us to do that.